Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Roswell, New Mexico. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, I like that kind of intro with Rosa kind of hearing like her kind of break out. The fact is that basically everyone in that town is haunted except for her because she's just, herself a ghost, because everyone's trying to do everything they can to just kind of not even 100% deal, like they're carrying the weight of all this stuff and trying to deal with it in their own ways, and they're just kind of haunted by this past that just kind of won't let go. But she's kind of that past in her own sense, hence why she kind of refers to herself as a ghost. And it's kind of interesting because for her it's like she feels like she doesn't even really have to hide herself because no one sees her, because she always felt invisible in that town. And now it's like even when she's here, like no one still sees her, everyone kind of still sees through her. But we end up finding out she's the one that's been sprayed. She's been the one tagging all over town. She even gets glimpses of watches their dad, and she puts some tags near their dad. But and she was I think she was hoping to get like a reaction, like, oh, maybe he get nostalgic or something. But he just kind of nods, shakes his head, and just walks away. Because the fact is, we see that Liz ended up lying to Rosa about everything that happened with her. The fact of the matter is she kind of painted this story about like what went down, but never giving her the full scope of everything. It's not until she saw Wyatt earlier in the episode, at one point in the episode, because it's with Michael, that Michael ended up beating him up because obviously Maria's putting up those missing posters for her mom, and he was kind of like using it to get gum off his foot because he's kind of a bit of a racist. Not kind of, extremely, actually very racist. And obviously for Rosa, she ended up looking it up because she ended up going to her grave, and she sees like murder written on. She's like, what? This doesn't make any sense. Beer bottles broken and stuff like that. Because even Liz had a lot of men like, oh, like everyone gathered around, the whole town was mournful of your death and stuff like that. But then Rosa looked online and saw a video from Wyatt, and it's like, oh, his sister died in a car accident because I was high or drunk and I crashed. She's like, what? That's not what happened. And now it's like realizing that lie and realizing that Liz lied to her. And even then, she got pissed at Liz about that. But it's not until it really kicked in when she talked to Kyle, where Kyle was like, I thought Liz told you everything. And it's like, okay, what really happened is this, the full scope of everything. And for her, it's like, and it pisses her off later on to the point she's confronting Liz about it. And it's so sad in the grand scheme of things, like the fallout of that situation, because the fact of the matter is, because obviously for Liz, it's like, I'm trying to save the man I love. But for Rosa, it's like, you're literally picking the man that destroyed our lives. Like for her, it's like so much shit went down because of the choice that Max made back then. The fact of the matter is, because she even said like Wyatt actually was a good kid, and the reason why he became this way is because like he became this racist monster because of her. But Kyle's like, no, that isn't just on you. That basically, and it wasn't even just Wyatt. Like a lot of people came out of the woodwork. Like sadly, quite a few people, feel that way. For Rosa, it's like you're picking the man that destroyed our lives. Like he, regardless of the reasons why he did it, he still did it. And because of that, like, he hurt you, he hurt dad. Like because of him, I can't be here with my dad right now. And it's like you want to act like he's some kind of hero. Everyone wants to treat him like he's some hero, but actually he's a monster. He did all of this to me. He ruined our lives. He ruined so many people's lives. And that's the sad thing. And at the end of the day, and that's the thing, Liz knows that truth, and despite all that, because it's like, and you choose to love him, which she's like, I don't choose who I love, because Max spent his entire life trying to make it up. But for Rosa, it's like, it doesn't matter. Like the fact of the matter is, he still did this terrible thing, and like so many people had to suffer because of it. And once again, Liz knows this truth. Because it didn't even cross my mind to think about, right? Like I didn't even think about the fact that Rosa learning this whole thing. It would make sense in the grand scheme of things why she'd be reluctant to help Max going forward and everything. It's like she doesn't even want Liz wasting her time saving him, because it's like he's not worth it. He's not a good guy. He's not a hero. But it's like, the fact of the matter is, sadly, Max did what he did back then to protect his sister. He didn't know everything that was going on with Noah and stuff like that. If he knew then what he knew now, yes, things would have gone down so differently. But he did what he felt like he had to protect his sister. I mean, like, you would do the same thing for your sister, because even Liz used an example of like, yeah, mom was drunk driving and she ran over a bike, we were where she hit someone, but you got out and you yelled at mom, 12 years old, telling her that like getting like she better not ever drive drunk again while Liz is in the car. And it's like, so it's a situation of like, you can't, like, Rosa can understand that, I'm sure, but at the same time it's just kind of like so much was destroyed and ruined because of Max. And it's just like, I don't know. Like, there's no correcting that mistake. There's no. I mean, maybe that's a reason why Max did what he did, because he wanted to give her a second chance, because he ruined her life, so he wanted her to have a second chance. So. And obviously Liz is like, okay, if you don't want to live here anymore, it's fine. Because for her, it's like she already felt invisible in this town, and now everyone sees her and everyone's hated her. Like her face, who she is, just it generates hate in this town. And so Liz is like, if you can prove that you can live on your own, me and Kyle will give you a place you can set up and kind of live on your own. But and obviously Max is still trying to reach her, like, tell Liz to stop trying to save me, I'm in so much pain. But you can almost say probably the argument is like, for her, she probably wants you to be in pain because of like all that pain that you cause. But at the same time, it's just like, I'm not going to do you any favors. Because at first he's making it seem like it's just mostly because he's in so much pain, and it's like, you wouldn't be killing me, basically be a mercy situation. But I thought it was kind of more so dealing with like what potentially might be the outcome of him coming back, of like their people and stuff like that, like whoever it is that Noah was on the lookout for, trying to get them to draw them in because Max is some savior or something, right? I thought we'll have more to do that, but it seems like it is on a more personal level where Max is like, I'm in so much pain, like I can't wait that long, on just something that might work and it might not. I'm just gonna be alive this entire time. But like, and it's just kind of like, for him, it's like, as long as we're connected, you're not going to be able to not hear me. And so all that does is push Rosa to be like, oh, if that's the case, then I never dreamed when I was high. So she starts drinking and kind of relapsing. She had gotten a second chance, but for her, it's just like, this is her way to kind of give a middle finger to Max. And that's the thing. You never know the domino effects of the situation and what that means going forward, what this could all possibly mean. And, it's sad because for her, she was like, no, I got a clean slate. But it's like, yeah, you might have a clean slate health-wise, but the fact of the matter is that impulse, that need to get high, it's not going. It's just as fresh as ever, because for you, that impulse was there the day you died. So it's not something that addiction doesn't go away. It's still with you. It's like, that's why addiction is like a lifelong thing. Even coming back doesn't, you still have your demons. I mean, everyone has their demons, but obviously hers are a little more, in her face, especially with finding out all this stuff. And now, with the whole Max situation, there's the fact is Liz got arrested because of the whole, she got caught with a spray can, and she tries to call Michael to bail her out. But more so because she wanted Michael to check on the samples, because they needed to be checked on within a certain time frame, or the whole experiment would be a waste. But Michael got arrested kicking Wyatt's ass. And obviously for her, it's like, see, I can't believe you went. I can't believe you got yourself arrested. And he looks at her. She's like, my situation's different. I'm innocent. But then at the same time, it's like, he explains why he's there. It's about Wyatt. And she's like, why don't you admit that you like Maria? Like, is that such a bad thing? And for Michael, it's just because I feel like I think he's just legitimately just afraid to get close to people, just because it's like the whole complicated situation with Alex. It just kind of, there was so much back and forth with that situation, and it's just, you end up hurting so much more in the end. But also he's worried about, he sees who Maria is and he doesn't want to ruin who she is. I think he feels like, she kind of says that later on, but I think he really feels like, I am bad for her. It's like how me and Alex are bad for each other. I like, Maria, but the fact is, I'm just not good enough for her type of situation. But obviously for him, he's not really a ray of sunshine, even with this whole situation, because for him, it's like people die and there's nothing you can do about it. Life's not fair, because it's not just his Max situation, because the entire episode, he's still dealing with like the images of his mom. He can't quite shake it, to the point he asks Alex for help. He's thinking like, hey, if I know more about my mom, maybe I'll be able to kind of shake it out of my head and be able to focus on this whole saving and helping Max situation. And Alex ends up telling him her name. Like everyone, all the other aliens had numbers except for her. Her name was Nora. So meaning she had an identity. So she was probably and that because she didn't get captured until a year after the ship crash, so it's like she was most likely living like a regular life in Roswell. So there might be people who are still alive from back then who knew her, so that could be an opportunity to learn more about her. But obviously he doesn't want Alex's help because it's just, once again, we're bad for each other. And he admits, like, I like Maria, and Alex is like, if it was possible for me, I'd want to be with Maria too, you know, type of situation. But for Alex, it's like it doesn't work that way for him because obviously I think, you know, because Alex, I mean, I would assume he just identifies as gay, whereas Michael identifies as bi. So it's an opportunity of like, yeah, because for Alex, Maria is a good friend. Plus, he knows she's a good person. So if it was possible for me, I'd be with her too. And kind of being like, I understand why you would want to choose her over me. Like with her, there's no complicated situation like there is between us. But also the complicated thing is, which also, I mean, because later on, you know, Michael shows up and he's parked outside of the bar and everything, and he's going, because, you know, Maria was like, what are you doing? And he's like, you're staying here waiting for your mom to, hoping that maybe your mom will, come back. Well, the fact of the matter is, I'm gonna stay out here because, like, if you staying here by yourself might be dangerous, so he wants to look out for her. And obviously, he makes it clear of like how he feels about her, and it's just like, he's like, I want you happy and singing. I like it when you're happy and singing, so. And it's like, you kind of made it clear when you kissed that other girl, and he was like, I get it, but like for him, it's just like he wants to do whatever he can to help her. So she's like, all right, we'll kind of use this as a trial basis, kind of basically no exclusivity type of situation. But the fact of the matter is, like, what was the woman he made out with? I think her name was Lindsay or something like that. It's like, no more Lindsays or something like that. Whatever the woman's name was, it's like, no more them. So it's like, proceed to make out. So it's like things are good there. But what I consider the snafu in that is, despite the complicated relationship you have with Alex knows your secret. Maria doesn't, so that's going to be a whole thing in itself. So there's that. Because the reason why, for Michael, because he knows what it's like, for him, it's like he never knew his mom, but recently he learned that she went through some terrible stuff. So when he sees Maria, like, going through this, like your mom being missing, like he feels a kinship in that, and he doesn't want her to kind of go through that pain. So he wants to help in whatever way he can. Because we see Maria kind of opens up a business in the episode. It's kind of like almost like a retreat, not really a retreat, but it's kind of like a meditation thing. And it's like, because she's like, oh, they're like, because even at one point, Isabel and Max's mom drags her to there. She didn't want to go at first, but it's like, obviously she felt like she was pushing her mom away because she was like, I want to be alone. But it's like, no, you know what, mom, maybe some other daughter time is good. And she was asking, Isabel was asking Maria, was like, oh, is it refundable? And she's like, no. It's like, I was like, right, you're trying to make money to get so you can hire a PI to look for your mom. It's like, right. Because we know as an audience, it's like, we know someone took her. We don't know who, but still. What I also thought was kind of interesting too, it's like that guy there, he's like, oh, I thought this was like basically like a yoga situation, but she was like, oh no, you can stay here. Basically, maybe you can, what was like, I forgot, like maybe even you have your inner woman inside. And I love the whole thing of like, write down your fears. And he was like, werewolves. And I'm like, I love that dude just being there to be the comedic element. And she's like, I want all of you to scream. He's like, are you sure? Because I can scream pretty loud. And he screams bloody murder, dude. It's crazy. Because even at one point you see Isabel kind of squinting her eyes and looking at him like, really, dude? Because everyone's screaming, but no one else really took too much notice of him. But he's just his scream was amazing. But the sad thing is for Isabel, she was making jokes about the whole thing because she thought the whole like thing that Maria was teaching was kind of stupid. But her mom, it's like, oh, write down your fear, and she's like, oh, like basically using Maria's job title in this whole thing as like, oh, that's what I feared. But then she wrote the lintel. Her mom didn't think much of it, but we it's like, right. Because she was watching, I don't know what it was. Something, I guess it's like some astrology type of thing was kind of just, oh, your baby's a lentil or something like that, or maybe it's just kind of a medical, I don't know what it was she was necessarily looking at, but it described her baby as a lentil. And for her, it's like when the time came, everyone had to burn the fears, but Maria couldn't bring her, I mean not Maria, but Isabel couldn't bring herself to do it because she's like, I can't, and it's like Maria kind of helped her kind of get the strength to do it, and so it's kind of like you have to kind of decide what you want to do. Obviously, neither her nor her mom, neither Maria nor Isabel's mom knows the context of the lentil situation. but it's basically about purging yourself of that fear. And so she ended up stealing the poison, the alien poison, from Liz, and ends up using it on herself, like enough to kill the baby. So I don't know if that's going to be a situation of, is she going to need just that one drop, or she probably has to do it enough continuously to the point it won't kill her, but it'll be enough, like she's older and her system's strong enough where it won't affect her, but sadly it will the baby. And it's just like, that's heartbreaking, but at the same time you get where she's, like I said, because at the end of the day it's going to come down to what she decides to do, because it's like the baby's Noah's, and it's like, that's not the easiest thing to ask someone to kind of, like, is she really willing to carry his baby? Because for her, it's like, oh, like, it becomes like a nature nurture thing. It's like, your baby is predisposed to being a psychopath because, hey, your husband was a psychopath. The sad thing is, he also had a very nice human side to him, because, I mean, you fell in love with him and everything, but to be fair, it's like, but it kind of gets outweighed by his psychoness, because him being like the lovable husband that he was, the liar, the murderer that he was, and the fact is he was able to kind of hide that for so many years, is proof. Besides, you also can't bring into question, what makes you question your entire relationship, because, hey, he was able to hijack people's minds and bodies. So it's like, not really the best person, to judge that. So it's an interesting situation. So I'm curious to see kind of how that plays out, especially, once again, because she's the only one that knows that truth. Another interesting thing is the whole thing with Kyle, the way they set that up, where it's like, the dean of the hospital, his daughter Steph, is there, and obviously like her and Kyle have the debate about like universal Medicare type, like from a insurance standpoint and stuff like that. She comes from the perspective of like, should someone who you basically you get what you pay for, like essentially. So like, if you work hard to get the best type of coverage and stuff like that, should it be the same as someone who doesn't work as hard? And she uses the example of his muscles. It's like, oh yeah, you must have 20/20 vision. She's like, what? It's like, I mean, the fact is, these clothes kind of hide my muscles. For you to be able to see them, must pretty good vision, 20/20. That was on your dad's insurance, right? And she kind of had like a, all right, looking at him kind of like he's smug, and he was like, yeah. And Kyle kind of walked away from that kind of winning. But I think that's kind of interesting. What I also think is kind of fascinating is because he got handed Rosa's files, but it came at like something else came back of like, wait, this can't be right, because she comes back 100% clean, but at the same time, it's like there was something else, kind of an anomaly there. And then Stefan walked by, like, oh, it might be just because maybe you weren't as close to it, like that maybe the sample had gotten contaminated or something like that. But even he was like, that didn't make any sense, because I'm very meticulous about it. So I'm like, I'm wondering, is it like a representation of, is it supposed to be like Max is kind of there, like on some psychic level, if it was that, or was there something else inside of her? It's actually kind of interesting. I thought it was kind of an interesting element that even Liz was like, how the hell are you doing that? She just like pops out of nowhere and then disappears like really quickly. To be fair, she's spent her entire time like knowing the ins and outs of that town to be able to kind of disappear and lay low. But it's also made you go, I don't think there's something more to that, dude. Probably not, but I just thought that was kind of interesting. It probably is just simply like, oh, she knows her way around town, so she knows exactly where to go and deal with all of that and just kind of disappear. But another angle to this is the whole situation with Alex. His brother coming, well, because him and Kyle went to go visit Alex's dad, and he's kind of waking up, and so it's a situation of, we could expose you for what you've done, because we saw that you killed Kyle's dad. You fed him to an alien that kind of basically gave him cancer and killed him. And he was like, yeah, you can't prove that without, burning every bridge, including your friend Michael. But for Kyle, it's like, I don't care who I have to hurt if it meant hurting you. So keep that in mind. Alex might not be willing to pull the trigger, but I am, just to get revenge for what you did to my dad. But obviously later on, Alex's brother's there kind of talking to their dad, about like everything that went down. Obviously, like their cover story is holding and stuff like that. No one's asking questions, but it's like, we should let people know the truth about aliens. It's like, well, if we let them know now, they just think we're crazy because there's no proof of it now. And it just kind of get buried under some racist comments type of situation. Like something racist would come up, and that would just kind of like bury this whole thing, and it turned into just more conspiracy theories type of stuff. So I'm curious to see what ends up happening, especially at the end where Alex was there and with his brother, and like their dad is having some attack or something. So I'm wondering, it's like, is that something their dad set up ahead of time between him and Alex's brother to kind of get him pulled from there, so like Alex wouldn't have access to him? Or is it just a byproduct of whatever? I don't know. I'm curious. I feel like there had to be plans to that. Maybe not. But I like that situation where Alex was like, what made you decide that you want to grow up and you want to be more like him? Because even I was like, why is it that Alex is so resistant to their dad, yet his brother isn't? But then he was like, what makes you think I had a choice? So I was like, right. Because it seemed like his brother's kind of the loyal soldier. Okay, we don't really know what his relationship is like. We know what it is like with Alex, it being super messed up thing it is, but not with Alex's brother. So it seems like, because his brother seems like, once again, the loyal soldier, but it seems like his dad probably broke him into that, whereas like he kind of couldn't necessarily 100% break Alex, but maybe he did his brother. I don't know. It was just kind of something floating through my mind. What I also thought was kind of another interesting element is the fact is the sheriff, she's asking questions about Noah's death, because it's like, it almost looks like the lightning hit him directly in his heart, almost as if he was already laying down. But obviously Liz, being super smart like she is, kind of like, oh, maybe there would have been something that was on him that conducted it to kind of strike him right there. But then it's like, yeah, but what about the Max situation? Haven't seen him. It's like, yeah, we broke up and everything. So, yeah, that's what you said, but you're staying at his place, and kind of like, obviously the sheriff is very suspicious, and I was like, oh, this isn't good. But Liz was able to kind of cover it up by being like, I waited too long. I never told Max how I felt about it, and now he's gone. But she's like, now I'm trying to make up for that mistake. I'm trying to get him back, and I'll kind of do whatever it takes to kind of take this opportunity. I'm waiting every day at his place for the opportunity. So it's like she's speaking truthfully from the heart about this whole situation, about how she wants Max back, to let him know really how she feels. Like, she just wants anything to have him back. So there is truth. She's just smearing the truth a little bit to kind of curve the sheriff's line of questioning, but that's definitely going to be interesting to see, especially because like Cheryl keeps pushing those questions and stuff like that, what that kind of means in the grand scheme of things, because I'm sure there's only so long you can keep covering up the fact is of where's Max. So there's that whole situation, because obviously it's Isabella Max's mom is asking questions about that. Now the sheriff is asking questions about that. Like I said, like this whole thing with Rosa, like her like potentially drinking and getting high again, like what the ramifications might be for that. Like, it might be a thing of like she's not as careful, people start seeing her, it might turn into a mess. Like she might, I don't know, because if she's not careful, people do see her, once again she's hated, so people are going to be pissed again. It's like, oh, how are you alive? Especially because you're going to have to answer the question of, why do you look exactly the way you looked 10 years ago type of situation. So I mean, within the confines of the show, you can skate around that, because the actress who played her when she was younger and as she is now, so it's that type of thing. But within the confines of like the actuality of the show, it's kind of like, but I'm curious to see what kind of ends up happening in that regard. It's going to be really interesting to see where all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.